great for the last 2 days, actually. Sadly, we don't have Nazeem with us. He's in
the Gambia at the moment.
Gambia.
Yeah, he would have loved to have come, but
Yeah.
Unfortunately he's out there at the moment. Yeah.
It's a great song, actually. I personally like it. Tell me, how did it come about? Explain what your job is and how your collaboration hand with Nazeem.
Okay, I work in international development, and I met Nazeem actually out in Gambia. It was just before lockdown, actually, and of course when lockdown occurred, a country like Gambia, there's absolutely no work for musicians whatsoever. So I was trying to think about how to find some paid work for him. And we were collaborating with the World Health Organization, and they were really struggling about getting health messaging out because there was such massive mistrust of government, fake news going around. People just didn't want to listen. And so we started working with the World Health Organization, using music as a vehicle for health messaging. And I think there was a lot of interest in that, and so he did several songs about COVID, and then there were all the other things going on, gender violence happening during lockdown, maternal and newborn health issues, so many things. And so we really saw the power of music for conveying important messages to people. And the way this song came about, Nazeem was actually back in Gambia at the time, and he suffers from depression himself, and he was feeling incredibly low. I said, well, why don't you try and sing a song about it? So I just can't find the words, I can't find anything. But after a bit of encouragement, I said, can we just have a go? And so that's how the song came about. And I think similar to some of the other artists who spoke yesterday and today, they were saying how when they're playing, all of those kind of stresses just disappear. It's the one time they can really focus. And I think it really helped him to write that song and just to write the lyrics and how he was feeling. He performed it in the Philharmonic, actually, music room last month. And I think, provoked a very strong reaction from the audience as well.
Amazing, wow. Now we better introduce Roger. Roger, tell us exactly what your involvement in the whole project was.
Very little, really. Very little. I've been doing some work with Vicky on some health campaigns.
Explain, you're a filmmaker. I think we need to explain.
Sorry, my day job is I make documentaries, and I also make health films as well. And I met Nazeem. I absolutely loved him. He's just a gorgeous person. So you always want to work with people that you like. And obviously I knew Vicky, and I've got on really well with Vicky.
Am I gorgeous as well?
Yeah, you're gorgeous as well.
Just say it, Roger.
In a different kind of way. So a long time ago, when I first started in filmmaking, I started making pop videos. This would be in the 1990s. So I kind of have a bit of a history making pop videos, got into documentaries, and then this is probably the first pop video I've made for 20 years.
Wow.
And I must give some credit to my camera operator / editor, Peter Goodwin, who did a terrific job as well. So we kind of work together, and I direct it, he does the camera work, and we kind of edit it together. And I really enjoyed doing it.
Did you let Nazeem into the edit? I mean, did he have a say in that?
What we tend to do is do an edit and then show it to people, and then they make their comments and they come back. But it's interesting that everything that's, I think, apart from the little bit that's on Bull Street, everything that's in that film is about 200 yards from where I live.
Wow.
Because I just live by Princess Park in town. And the dungeon that you see, that Nazeem's in, that's actually the basement of the house that I live in.
I thought that's where your wife locked you up.
And I was coming out of the house one day, I just thought that is just perfect for this song. Let's take him down there. And one of the things I had to encourage him to do was to get dirty down there.
Yeah.
Because I wanted him to rub the walls and get the dust off the walls. And I actually loved the texture of the environment that he's in.
It was a takeaway image for me, the hand actually against the wall.
Yeah.
So
And then the other kind of, not a barrier to making the film, but Ali Horn, who's his co-singer there, he doesn't feel comfortable in front of the camera, I don't think. So I had to spend quite a lot of time coaxing, in inverted commas, a performance out of it. But I think we got there in the end.
yeah, you really did. Is Ali was he just brought in as a co-performer? Did he help him write it? I mean, what was that relationship?
I think Vicky
Okay,
knows more about that
Vicky.
than I.
Yeah, I think Ali has been very supportive to Nazim when he came to Liverpool, and sort of, he hosts open mic nights and all kinds of things, and I think the two of them really kind of I think just resonated with each other. And so when Nazim sort of wrote the song, he sort of said to Ali, let's record it together. And I think, like many musicians, they also often suffer from depression and lows. And I think I think the lyrics resonated a lot with him as well. He really felt the sentiment of the song. So they went to his studio and recorded it together. And that was the rest was history.
Wow. When? Did I ask you this? When was this all done?
The song was recorded a year ago. Then I was scrabbling around trying to find someone to make the film, and finally Roger agreed to do it.
Wow, so this is new. This is quite new.
Yeah, very new, very new.
Wow. Have we got an exclusive? No.
Yes, this is the premiere of
This is
screening.
the premiere.
Woo!
I hope our newspaper man is recording. That's very exciting. Tell me a little bit more about your own work. What is Capacity International Development?
Yeah. Capacity Development International. We do a lot of work in sub-Saharan Africa, and also more recently in Liverpool as well. And so I suppose our more recent work is really about trying to tackle some of the terrible health inequities we see. There's avoidable and unfair differences in health. And in fact, I've been doing a lot of work in Kenya on this. And what we've been doing, and we've actually taken the model we've been doing there, which is all about community-led approaches. So I loved hearing all the stories today, because we always say communities know what's best for them. And when you were talking about universities coming in and telling you what to do in Death by PowerPoint, I thought I couldn't agree with you more. And so we've taken the model of working that we've been doing in Kenya. We're now working with the public health team here in Liverpool,
Wow.
trying to tackle these avoidable and unfair differences in health. And in fact, we've just won some new funding as a project called Recite, which is all about highlighting people's stories, storytelling, whether it's through theatre, music, dance, and we've got a focus on immunisation, cancer screening and mental well-being. So that's why I was really interested to come here and just some of these stories are amazing, and I think there's quite a few people here we'd quite like to collaborate with actually. But really, and I think as Pat was talking about earlier as well, trying to tackle some of those structural drivers, trying to get that change at local government level and national level. So we're pushing really hard at the moment. But this is a project just started, so we are trying to capture some of these stories and be able to use these stories in a way to try and influence things at sort of policy level.
So that community project that was brought from Kenya,
Yeah.
or was workshop. Weirdly, these are all Kenyan because my other half's Kenyan.
Oh, really?
What can you talk us through the practical? What is it? Take mental health for example. Just talk us through it.
But basically, what the model is basically we see a big disconnect between the community and healthcare, and that's the problem. And healthcare providers are not very good at engaging, particularly with. We talk about they just can't engage with the people who need the services most often, and so it is. And so this approach is very much working with communities. We set up teams which have the community leaders and the community volunteers who would sit down with healthcare providers and say, look, this is the problems we've got. Let's come up with solutions together, and so that we can actually get solutions which are going to work. It's a very simple model, and we basically find out what get those insights from the community, combine it with the local data at the facility, and then together come up with solutions to tackle those problems. So it's not about imposing solutions, it's about the community themselves saying this is what's going to work in our community. And so it's a simple model. In fact, it was the Director of Public Health, he approached the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine and our company saying, people are just not engaging with us, we need some help. What have you been doing in sub-Saharan Africa? It's particularly with the more disadvantaged populations, black and ethnic minorities, and in some of the poorest areas of Liverpool, where people are just saying, we're not going to use services. And so we've tried to take that model and now are working with implementing that same approach here.
But you see it because, obviously I only know East Africa, but it's hugely community-based.
Yes.
And of course here, I think Liverpool feels like a big community, but we're nuclear families, so there isn't that same extended network.
We work very much with trying to work with trusted community organisations where they've been in the community for a very long time. Because I think when we did our work during COVID, people they weren't willing to speak to people other than those from their own community, and so to get those insights, you need to work with trusted community organisations, and so that's the way that we've always been that's the way we've been working.
Yeah, I think trust is very.
Trust
important.
is massive. And I think it's been eroded a lot ever since COVID, really.
We kind of use the cliche about local intelligence.
Yeah.
Don't go in thinking you know what
Absolutely.
they're doing. So I think we heard that.
We've heard that so many times, and I thought,
Hope,
absolutely.
Stigma, this,
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more. Sorry, I will come to you in a second, Sydney. But tell us a bit more, Roger, about the work you were doing, because you were talking about doing other public health service work with Vicky.
So one of the things that Vicky just mentioned there about people not taking up services. So we did a whole series of very short films interviewing people from North Liverpool, from the Anfield area and Aintree area, just to give their little stories about why they thought it was a good idea to go and have a jab for COVID. And I think, am I correct in saying that there was an increase in uptake?
Yeah.
So that that's kind of that idea that, as you say, people sometimes don't trust the big organisations, but might trust someone they recognise from their community saying, well, I had a jab and I thought it was great.
That makes complete sense. And when we have a teacher in the front who doesn't know she's a teacher. So, and may I just ask Sydney, the message from hostage by my thoughts, for my thoughts, help me. To my thoughts, thank you. Hostage to my thoughts. Did you take away from that yourself that it was about depression, and what was the message you took from it?
100%. I definitely got the depression aspect of it. As someone who suffers from depression, there were some of those lines I was like, I felt that. That being trapped in my own mind. But I was like, that's feeling that and walking forward, walking every day with that thought, and still like, okay, I'm not gonna let it conquer me. That kind of thing, but I felt that line.
You've also written and talked about depression, haven't you? Because actually, what was really nice about your first poem, we picked it, we talked about it, that was about reflection and hope. Because I think you don't want to, if you just bombard people, you have to give hope.
Yes, I've had the To Be a Child piece is actually, it's done in obviously in a childish way, but it's also just reminding us adults that when we're adults, we forget the simple things, and especially when it comes to mental health, we always try to get. I describe it as trying to get from a start the day at 1 out of 10, finish it at 9 out of 10. Sometimes if we start the day at 1 out of 10 and we finish it at 1.1 out of 10, we still finish the day better than you started. And that might not seem like a success, but when it comes to mental health, that is a success. And that's what To Be a Child is about. Yes, you ended the day feeling terrible, but you finished the day better than you started. You could have gone backwards. And it's just every day, waking up, finishing the day better, finishing the day better, finishing the day better, until one day you wake up at a 7 out of 10 and finish at an 8 out of 10, and you're like, I feel good today. So that poem's about just remembering the little things when it comes to mental health, and the little steps that we can take to help.
Yeah.
Actually, it's just crossed my mind is about 3 years ago, I made a documentary about John Lennon.
Okay.
And it was about his childhood and adolescence in Liverpool. And he had lots of problems, lots of personal problems. And when I was growing up, one of my favourite songs was Help. And it was like a fast-paced, bouncy sort of a song. If you hear the original recording of that song, it is a huge cry for help. And when you actually look at the words of it, it's a man who's in great difficulty. So, this kind of what you're talking about there, and what I think you've all been talking about, it gets anybody, doesn't it? It can get absolutely anybody. And it's so interesting that for me, it's taken, 50 years to realise a song written in 1964 was probably about depression.
It's amazing. I think we've really noticed over these 2 days that the power of music, obviously performance is a give and take away, but music has consistently come come back up. We have to get Marigold to sing. But it's come up again and again and again. Which is really, can I come back to, there's a statistic you sent me which I was really taken back by. It's the state of health in the city of Liverpool 2040. What does 2040 mean?